All right, let's see if I'm actually live on YouTube. Forgive the squeaky chair. All right, Instagram, this is still bothering me. I'm just trying to fix this one more time. I'm not going to spend too much time messing with it. As long as you can hear me, that's what's really important. Looks like TikTok. I have you close enough. I can actually see who's on here tonight. Welcome, everyone. For those of you that tune in regularly to TikTok, I will be doing lives. I've never done them before, but, you know, they're just going to be like a freestyle situation where I go live and I, you know, can interact with you guys more and take your questions about psychic mediumship and empathic ability. Welcome everyone on Instagram. Again, sorry about the view. So I am in a new spot. I thought it would be fun to do an around the world here in the 1882 Victorian Funeral Home. So I am going to regularly throughout 2026 be breaking down the set, setting up somewhere new, because you guys have shown a lot of interest in the property. So I thought that would be fun. It hasn't been tremendously fun for me, you know, because the internet is not always working and I press live and I've got weird angles. So we're just going to have to accept the good and roll it in with the bad. Welcome everyone on YouTube. Okay, can see and hear you. All right. Thank you so much, Chicken Mama. I'm assuming the same thing. If you guys could give me a thumbs up on Instagram and TikTok, let me know that you can hear me and see me all right. That would be greatly appreciated. Before I go ahead and get started, we are doing our monthly church service tonight. So thank you so much. Okay, good to see you. Thank you. So, you know, tonight we're going to be talking about when it's time to let go of something, someone, a situation, a pattern in your life, and how to actually do that. And I'm going to break it down in work, relationships, and personal habits or lifestyle choices that you've gotten used to. All right, so I do encourage you to start dropping your questions. I will be getting to all of those at the end. So tonight's sermon's pretty packed. I want to go ahead and get right into this. Welcome, everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino Arawak, and I am your pastor. This is Roots Revival Interfaith, where we believe in the three truths in the universe, that is intuitive intelligence, astrology, and numerology. These three truths will lead you down the right paths. They will assist you with your healing and eventually help you grow in character and integrity to be able to get out there and assist others as well. We are a federally recognized church and religion, and that took me a really long time to pull off. But I didn't want to identify with the spiritualist religion, which is anti-Christian, you know, or any form of Christianity, which has its own set of problems. I wanted to do my own thing. And it did take me about 12 years, but this past year, we were able to officially become federally recognized. Okay, so I encourage you guys to participate. Our church services are always interactive. So I want you to drop your questions, drop your comments. I also will be getting to all of the questions at the end of the service. And I want you to drop your prayer and healing requests. I do check them for about 2 weeks. So if you're watching this later on, it's published, that's fine. Okay, go ahead and drop it. Also, I do ask that when someone drops a prayer or healing request, that, you know, you can send some manifestation healing energy over them. Let's support one another. I think I'm coming down with something, which is not a shock. I've been around a ton of people just hacking without even covering their mouths, make me nuts. I knew it was a matter of time. So bear with me tonight. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So Tonight's sermon topic is called When It's Time to Let Go and How to Do It. The biggest problem I have seen in the last 2 quarters of 2025 with my clients or my students or even friends and family is that people are feeling as though they don't have what they want. They can't understand why, with all the effort they've put in, they don't feel as though they're accomplishing what they deserve. They aren't getting credit for, all of the efforts, and they can't seem to let go of people, situations, habits, addictions, stinking thinking, whatever it is. I have found myself in the last months of 2025 just really needing a vacation, which I took. But I don't like constantly giving readings or constantly having conversations with people when it's like they're not listening. They're not listening to the answer and the solution. And when Spirit brought up this sermon topic to be done right now, I thought, didn't I do something like this recently? Didn't we do a letting go sermon just a few months ago? I know that was on people who have passed and relationship stuff or through estrangement. So there is something similar to this. But, Spirit kept bringing it up. And I thought, okay, maybe I didn't do these current issues that I see happening with people. And then I also realized it's a 9-year. 2025 is a 9-year. This is the grand finale. That is the end of a huge cycle, a huge karmic cycle. And we are entering into a 1 year. So that is the rebuilding phase. And I was like, this is what's going on. Okay, I should have known it was numerological or astrological. I should have known it was something bigger. And sure enough, when you look at these 3 categories, relationships, work and resources, okay, work and money, and daily habits or lifestyle choices, this is where people are getting hit. This is where people are the most stubborn. And a lot of it is out of habit, okay? A lot of it is because humans choose, prefer, and will always sacrifice everything else for whatever is comfortable. Whatever our nervous system, and we know this from a ton of research, Google it if you're not familiar with this concept, but whatever your nervous system is used to, that's what we will do. We want more of that thing, even if it's bad for you, even if it is giving 0 results. Okay, even if it is ruining your life, it doesn't matter. That's what humans prefer over change. All right, so there's that. I also think it's important to remember that the way the human brain works, and I don't have the exact, numbers on this, but essentially the majority of thoughts we have throughout the day are repetitive. It's like a record on repeat. It's like a record that skips just on repeat, on repeat, on repeat, on repeat. And if you know that, you can talk to your brain with your inner voice, your higher mind, and you can say to your brain, knock it off, or you can shut it down. You can control where your thoughts go if you're aware of that. But people who aren't assume that all the thoughts they're having, that's all that they can do. That's all their brain can do. That's the only place I can go. And unfortunately, every single thing that you feel emotionally after that thought and every single action you will ever take after that thought is based on that thought, which means the universe also reacts to you based on those thoughts. Your thoughts are everything. Your thoughts are at the root of everything else. And there are just too many people floating around who don't seem to know those 2 facts. All right. So again, if you're not familiar with that research as well, you can Google that, but it's basically that the brain repeats. So I'll repeat these. Okay. Number 1, you're going to choose as a human being whatever your nervous system recognizes, whatever your nervous system is used to, that's what you're going to choose, because it's familiar, because it's more comfortable than change or something new. That's a fact. And number two, your brain is like a runaway train, having the same repetitive thoughts the majority of the time, and you need to control it better. Now, if people can get a grip on these two concepts, it becomes a lot easier. And I speak from experience. Knowing things like that allows me to be more disciplined with myself instead of being like, well, I guess I'm just along for the ride, you know, or nothing I can do. It's a terrible idea. All right. So there's that. Let's go ahead and get into it. Again, if you're tuning in late, we are an interactive church, so I do encourage you to drop your questions, and I'm going to be able to see them best in YouTube because I'm on StreamYard. That means anything to anybody? That means I can see, okay, without it disappearing off into some chat. So if you can get over here onto YouTube at Ask Ivy the Medium, I can see your questions more easily there. Otherwise, I'll do the best I can at the end of the sermon to grab them from these other chats. Donations are appreciated, but certainly not required. If you need to book a reading or a healing with me, you can go to Ivy Rivera, psychicmedium.com. I do ask everyone to please give this video a thumbs up, share it, drop a comment of any kind. It really helps me out in the algorithm. And I would love to hear where you're tuning in from. Okay, so that comment would also be great. All right, let's get into it. When it's time to let go and how to do it, I want to start with work. Let's talk about work and money. Work, money, resources. It is an incredibly difficult time for a change, for a transition, if you feel as though you are in a somewhat secure situation. I get it, okay? And this isn't just an American problem. I get it. However, I stand by. I will die on this hill. Like, you have to understand that when it is time for you to change, you are not doing any justice to your resources by staying somewhere. It is slowly, gradually declining, and it will eventually implode. That's a fact. That is law of attraction. Okay, that is like attracts like. That is universal law. You're not holding yourself accountable. You're not taking responsibility. You're not doing what you need to do to fulfill your life contract. And so the universe can't do its part. There will be no growth in a situation like that. Okay. Even if for a moment you may be offered something like a promotion, all that glitters is not gold, you know, or you get sucked back in somehow, that is very short-lived. It's like a trap. And that does typically happen as soon as you're about to get away. All right. So let's talk about the signs that it's time, because I know that with the economy and everything, it's very confusing. How can we be 100% sure it's time? Number one, you have visions about what it is that you're supposed to be doing. Okay. You have maybe even prophecy about what it is that you would feel passionate about, that would bring you fulfillment, what it is that you are meant to do. However, you have no confidence in that. You don't really believe that either where you are now or at all, that you could pull that off. That doesn't make it any less legitimate. When we have a drive towards something, a dream. I hate when people say, what are your dreams? What are your dreams? These aren't dreams. These are intuitions. You have a life contract. You signed it before you came to Earth. So everything you dream about is going to be getting that done. It's not a far off fantasy. It's not some big illusion. It's a matter of time if you put in the effort and you make the right moves. Okay, so you will be able to fulfill what you came here to do. The universe isn't rigged against you, all right? But you may have no confidence maybe from where you are right now because you haven't really been working toward it or working toward it enough. So that's number one. Number 2, you know it's time to change up your work or your career, your job, when you dread going in there. Now, I am currently fulfilling my life contract. This is the work I came here to do. And I have days when I don't want to do it. I am constantly bombarded by negative and toxic people or their problems. I sometimes just don't want to. Okay. But I still, at the end of the day, sleep like a baby, knowing I'm doing exactly what I'm meant to do. And I will wake up in the morning feeling fulfilled and at peace and centered and like everything's right. And everything can be made right, even when it isn't perfect, if I keep showing up. You have to understand that when you literally dread doing a job or going into a workspace, it is often some form of abuse that's being used against you to keep you there or to keep you down or to keep you small, to keep you trapped. I know it is a privilege to be able to move from job to job, for sure. But if you are abiding by your life contract, you're going to be supported by the universe. Okay? So it's a right. It is your right to do that if it's what you came here to do. We need to know our life contract, though, so we're not all over the map. You shouldn't jump from horrible job to horrible job, terrible employer to toxic boss. Like, you need to get out of the rat race and do what you came here to do. So if you dread going, that's a sign. You wake up in the morning and you're like, I literally cannot do this. I cannot get out of bed. I cannot go to this place. Or you can't get out of the car. You can't go in. Or you get real violent when you're there. I've been that way at a couple jobs I've had in the past. I'm like, I'm going to kill this manager. Like, let her say one more thing to me. Let her pull one more thing. I said to someone once, you better hope you don't bump into me on the street. If you're constantly losing it, if you're flipping out, if you're ready to strangle the people there, it's probably, again, an abuse of power. Rightfully so. I'm sure you do have, rights to feel that way, but it is your responsibility. You have to hold yourself accountable for getting out. Let's talk about number 3. When your job occupies your mind at home, we've got a problem. And this doesn't really go for like business owners as much, even though I think we need to limit that. Thank you for the hearts on TikTok. If you're self-employed, that's kind of just a problem we have. I'm not really talking to you guys on this particular one, but I've had other jobs and I see this with people all the time where it's like a haunting, gray cloud of energy that just goes with you wherever you go. And what I mean by that is you leave work and it is on your mind constantly. So it's not necessarily just when you're home. It's when you're out trying to have a good time. It's when, you go out with friends or family and you're talking about it. It's interrupting the flow. You can't rest at night, or you have nightmares that you're at work or that you're trying to figure something out or that you're having to quickly, fix something. If your phone rings, you get a ding, you get an email, and you're like a chihuahua. You are so nervous about everything that comes through that you think it's going to somehow suck you back in. Work is going to pull you back in. This is not working. All right. When that is happening. So if it occupies your mind at home, so to speak, okay, it's time to go. Now, for those of you who aren't controlling your mind, again, if you missed the beginning of this, go back and watch the replay on YouTube at Ask Ivy the Medium. But this is also something that happens to people who don't control their mind. So if you have the same repetitive thoughts over and over and over again, that may be an area that you can fix. Okay. Maybe we can work with this a little bit, but I would say typically when it's this bad, it's a problem and it's a sign. It's a sign it's time to go. Number 4, I already touched on this, so I'm not really going to add to this. It's disrupting your sleep, basically, whether it be stress dreaming, constant crick in the neck, full-blown nightmares. Maybe you're having a bunch of dreams where you're like walking down hallways and there are all these doors, all these windows, all these rooms. You're constantly dreaming that you're like in school or a hotel or just some weird building, you know, with like rooms and doors and stairwells. If you're dreaming that you're ever going down the stairs, that's not a good sign. If you're dreaming that you're in the basement a lot, the basement of really anywhere, right? That is skeletons in the closet, unfinished business, stuff swept under the carpet, conversations you're not having with yourself, or conversations that aren't complete. This is not good. And for those of you who have blocked dreaming, that means that probably work got so stressful for you and you were having so much tension in your sleep or straight up nightmares that you stopped being able to remember your dreams. So for those of you that say, well, I just don't dream, I want you to go back to the last time you remember your dreams. And I want to take a look at what was going on in your life after that would have caused so much stress that you stopped remembering them. Because everybody dreams. There's no such thing as not dreaming. There is such a thing as not remembering your dreams. Okay. And if you want to unblock, there's also a dreams class up on my website, okay, that you can check out to help you to unblock. But that's not going to fix anything if we don't get to the root issues, okay, long term. So when your sleep is disrupted because of this work, it's time to go. Number 5. When you are showing signs physically, energetically, mentally, emotionally of stress and anxiety because of this job, and I'll use myself as an example. I know I'm doing what I'm called to do. It does get stressful, but I am never twisted and out of shape and never. Nope, never. And I've had a million other jobs. I've been on my own since I was 13. I had my first apartment when I was 15. I was homeless for a long time. I've had a million jobs that I absolutely hated. And I showed physical, mental, emotional distress, symbols, okay, signs all over me. I've had people say to me, you changed, what's wrong with you? And it's like, it's a stupid job, you know, like I knew I was supposed to be there, but I needed the money. If I knew then what I know now, okay, if I knew this stuff, I would not have tolerated that. But if your doctor is telling you, okay, if you have to go get a therapist, if people are telling you, they're witnessing the changes in you, something is off and it's this job, this is not worth it, okay? You cannot choose a paycheck, I don't care if you have kids or a mortgage or over your own health and well-being. What will happen when you're not here or you can't even show up for that anymore? It's just a change. It's just a transition from one job to another, and it is doable. And I'm not telling anyone to go out and quit your job immediately and wait to see what else comes around. I'm saying be willing to make the transition. Okay, we're going to talk about that next. Number 6, it's time to leave a job when you have a dysregulated nervous system. Kind of what we were just talking about, but basically you have you know, this Chihuahua syndrome. You're constantly waiting for the other shoe to fall. You have a terrible foreboding. You know, your energy is down. You're incredibly nervous. You are even numbing out, or you're aggressive. You're agitated. You have a dysregulated nervous system. It's like a roller coaster ride. Okay. You cannot get off the roller coaster. Number 7, if you need treatment to remain at this job. Okay. Well, I mean, here we are again. If you need to constantly be going to chiropractors because of what this job is doing to you, if you need massages constantly because of this job, if you need a therapist, when you have to bring on a team to keep you at this place, there's something else that you need to look at here. Number 8, when your negativity is affecting your relationships. So if this job is making you into, if it's turning you into such a negative person, or you feel like you're losing yourself, you're losing your personality, you don't really have anything else to bring to your relationships but that type of help me fix it, I hate my day-to-day life, they're going to deteriorate. Okay, people will pull back and they may never tell you why, but if you have lost connections since this job started negatively affecting you, that may be why. Number 9, if staying at this job is causing you to feel, and maybe you didn't connect these dots, but that's why we're bringing it up. Think about this. Since you have been working at this place and it's been bad, since it went bad, have you felt more isolated? Are you isolating deliberately? Do you have disinterest in your hobbies or things you used to enjoy, even forms of entertainment that you really used to enjoy, going places? Do you have a low-level depression? I can't prescribe a diagnosis. Do you have a low-level depression or straight up depression? And number 10, are you getting negative karmic kickback? Negative karmic kickback is essentially when the universe, I coined this phrase, it's when the universe says to you, okay, I am here to protect you. I am here to bring you blessings, but I can only do my half. And if you aren't going to hold yourself accountable, if you're not going to take responsibility for your actions, good luck. I'm removing my hand of protection. I'm removing your prosperity. Now, it doesn't mean that it isn't there. It just means you can't have it, because the universe is obligated by what I call the law of the light to not enable you to be like your parent if it needs to be. So be it. But if you won't take the steps and the actions necessary, then, you're stuck. And with negative karmic kickback, it's a choice to be stuck. And it unfortunately affects every other area of potential prosperity in your life. So you could see that since you decided you hate this job and that you're not going to do anything about it, you may have seen your relationships fall apart, right? Your health and mental health fall apart, your sleep state fall apart, other money and investments and resources fall apart. You could be seeing opportunities that were supposed to come to you not come to you. Even within that workspace you're settling for. You're offered something, they give it to somebody else, for example. You are going to see it everywhere. All areas of your life are negatively affected by negative karmic kickback. So let's talk about what to do. Okay, what can you do? How do you actually make the changes and the shift from working in an environment you should not be in to figuring out something healthier? Number 1, recognize the systemic fear and threats to your security. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Basically, you are probably working within, especially if it's like corporate, you're probably working within a system that is designed to wear you down, to knock you down, to keep you down, to make you fearful. And this goes from your appearance to the way you talk is being analyzed and criticized, to the constant reviews, to the BS work they give you that shouldn't be part of your job or is irrelevant. to the way they're constantly adding on more, to the way instead of paying you more, they try to find, means to like skirt around it, to the constant, how do I want to say this? It's almost like holding an apple, it's like jump for the apple. They're constantly telling you, you can get higher, you can get higher, you can get higher, you're up for this promotion. And then they don't. Okay. And if that doesn't knock you down in a million different ways, I don't know what does, or they give it to somebody else, right? There are a million different ways that you are probably working within a system that is causing fear in you, fear of failure, and absolutely the loss of your financial security. Okay. The loss of your medical coverage, and all of this is for profit. Okay. So it can all be used against you to keep you there like a slave, like a cog in the wheel. It is a threat to your security. And then we have, on a larger scale, the constant threat of poverty. Finally, as we're going through the revolution and having the awakening, we're understanding that those that are poor, even those that are middle class, those that are homeless, this could happen to anyone. This happens to most people. The majority are, in those groups. And it is not due to their failure that they are there. It is due to a rigged system that causes a horrific amount of fear in you and makes you feel that it is your failure if you aren't making enough money, if you don't have that medical care, okay, if you don't have the home and all the things. So it's bigger than just your job. It is a societal construct that blames those that aren't as wealthy. Esmeralda Marie Rivera, everybody. Say hi, Izzy. No, not today. So think of all the systems of fear, okay, that are subconscious at this point because you've been so programmed into it, all right, but that are keeping you there. Number 2, plan steps to get out. This does not mean, again, I'm not telling you to quit your job. And I mean, I have a million times. I've been fine and I'm happy for it. But maybe that's not always the best way. Maybe you wait until you have something else lined up, or you start looking elsewhere. But you must, number 2, you must plan your escape route. Come up with a game plan. All right. What is the plan to get out of this situation and into something that is fulfilling, more meaningful part of your life contract? And I guarantee the minute you come up with the plan to do this, the universe is going to start lifting that negative karmic kickback, and you'll notice blessings coming through. So this could look like red lights turning green. This could be other opportunities that you thought were long gone, coming back around, just a general improvement in your health and well-being. So immediately upon the decision, because again, everything is ruled by our mind. So upon the decision that I'm going to get out and I'm going to create a plan, the universe is like, okay, you're serious? Here come some of the blessings. And it's bait. The universe is always baiting you for more, baiting you in the right direction. Number 3, I would consider multiple streams of income that you've previously dismissed. So while you're making the transition, because I'm not going to sugarcoat, if you're making a transition from a job you absolutely hate to doing what you're supposed to be doing within your life contract, and you're a million miles away from that, well, it can take a minute for the transition to happen, for the benefits to really consistently be there. And to be realistic is key on that, to be patient, and to understand that with even that transition, and once it's done, there are a lot of fluctuations that come in the first few years. So what can you do? Okay, so let's talk about considering multiple streams of income that you've dismissed. This could be different for everyone, but what about working a job? A lot of people are talking about this lately, that even though they, have a master's degree or higher, they are now working as like a cashier, or they're bagging groceries, or they're doing some random job. Okay. Even waitressing and stuff. They're doing some random job that they never would have considered a couple years ago. But their work environment is so toxic, they want to do something mindless. They want to do something that's easy. It doesn't take a master's degree. And when they leave it there. When they're done, they go home. They have peace of mind. And it is giving enough financial security, okay, that they are feeling blessed by this opportunity. And they actually really like the people they're working with and stuff like that. They maybe even enjoy the environment. If they don't, who cares? Okay, with like a little job like that, what do you care? You don't. Okay, it's not. It doesn't have a power hold on you. So consider something like that. Consider investments if you haven't in the past. Consider, property. Again, I know a lot of this sounds like privilege, but maybe if you're, smart, you're even working with other people, or you're partnering with other people. You could talk to others in your community. How can you connect with others and also look at, partnerships as an investment and or literal investments. Okay. Other investments. There's a lot you could do. All right. So look at other streams. Don't just say, this is it. I can do this one thing and I'm trapped. No, you're not. You're choosing that. You're choosing to be trapped. No, you're not. No, you're not. Number 4, it'll ease your mind as you transition if you downsize. Okay, so if you're worried that you cannot make enough money, and that's really what's keeping you trapped, then you may need to downsize. It is worth it, I would say, to live in a smaller place, to get roommates, even to collaborate again with other people in whatever way you need to. I know a lot of people don't want to hear it, but could you move back to your parents' house for a while? What can you do? Okay, how can you get it done? And that reduction in your stress, compared to the pay cut, is going to be well worth it. It really is. Sometimes we think, well, if I take a pay cut, it's going to be even more stressful. Not necessarily. Not if you have a game plan, you're moving in the right direction. It's only when you're aimless, okay, and you're flailing that's true. Number 5, get a life contract reading, okay? Plug. If you have no clue what your purpose is, you can get a life contract reading. You can get a numerology chart. You can get an astrology chart done. All of these things are going to help you to understand what you came to Earth to do. And it's very rarely just one thing. It's usually like 2 or 3. And I would also just say that here's a shortcut. If you don't have the money for a life contract reading or numerology chart, astrology chart, here's the thing. Whatever you have suffered from in your life, whatever hardship you've gone through, whatever hits you've taken, I 100% guarantee that's in your life contract. I guarantee that if you take whatever pain you have transmuted into power, whatever you have alchemized, that is part of your calling now. That's where the money is. That's where your client base is. That's where the following is. That's what's going to make you a great influencer. Speak on your wisdom. Okay? Share your truths. Stop hoarding or burying all of this stuff and use it. Okay? Stand on your own 2 feet and give it out. And if it's not going to end up being a big part of what your journey is next, it will at least lead you there. Let's move on. Okay. And again, post your questions or comments. I will be getting to all of them at the end. But try to do it over here on YouTube at Ask Ivy the Medium. But I will try to catch them from Instagram and TikTok, okay, at the end. But that feed moves so fast, it's hard for me to see. All right, we're going to move on to relationships. Again, if you guys did not already give this video a thumbs up, please do so. Please share and subscribe. Drop a comment letting me know where you're tuning in from. Also, it helps me out a lot. Thank you. And if you haven't done so, post your prayer and healing requests. I will be getting to them over the course of the next 2 weeks. So even if you're watching this once it's published, you could still drop them. All right, relationships. How do you know? Sometimes we don't. This is probably the toughest area, harder than money, I would say, harder than work, because when we are in a relationship where we're being gaslit, or we are coming from childhood wounds, or we're not good at regulating our nervous system and there's so much emotional entanglement in a relationship, this could be the hardest area. Okay. So relationships, how do you know it is time to leave? Let's use the example of romantic partnership. Okay. But this goes for any type of relationship, family dynamic, friendships, whatever. Okay. But mostly I'm just going to use this reference of romantic relationships here. Number one, you have desire to cheat. If you are constantly thinking about cheating, if you have recently met someone who makes you want to cheat, maybe you have a soulmate that just came in, or a karmic partner. Okay, it's going to be really, really hard to pass that up if you're in a relationship that is not fulfilling for you. Also, if you're paranoid that your partner is cheating. Now, many times my clients book with me and they're like, are they cheating? And I look, I'm like, oh, they have been cheating 100%. We could see when, we could see how, we could see who. So I'm not talking to you. If you really suspect that they're cheating, so be it. They probably are. But if it's just this nagging feeling and you really have no proof this person's ever cheated on you before, they don't have a history of that, a pattern of that in their past, maybe it's you. Maybe it's you that wants to cheat. Okay. And you're projecting that onto them. I just did a video on this, on the hot takes on romantic partnerships. Okay. Negative karmic kickback. You know it's time to leave that relationship when you have negative karmic kickback, which means that everything in your life since you've gotten together with this person, or since the relationship kind of went bad, went sour, everything in your life is falling apart. Your other relationships, your money, maybe even your health, opportunities that had once been great aren't anymore, or you were supposed to get these opportunities and they end up not coming in. Okay. All the things, just a series of unfortunate situations that look like a string of bad luck. All right. There's no such thing. It's always karmic, always. So it could be this. If you want more on that, go back and watch the video I just did. That was number 5 in the series I've done on truths or psychic hot takes on romantic partnerships. Number 3, either in general, since you've been with this person, or when you're around them, you have dysregulated nervous system. It's not really butterflies in the stomach. It's not, a roller coaster ride. Like, this is fun when it's this. That's a dysregulated nervous system. The person you're with shouldn't make you feel on edge, diseased. This should not happen. Number 4, when you think about this person, it drains you. or you're upset in some way. Number 5, you're on defense, not offense. So this could be in general, again, in all areas of your life, you're feeling this. But it could also just be when you're encountering this person, when you have to deal with them, you feel as though you have to be on defense. There's some kind of hustle. There's some kind of game going on here. There's some type of tug of war. The most common thing I see in couples readings that I do when they're toxic and it's done, it's over, dead, done, over with, is this tug of war energy, this exhausting, never-ending cycle of fight. There's no sense of camaraderie there, which also means that you can't really build. You're not thinking of building with this person or building even maybe in your own life, unless it's defending yourself against them somehow. Well, I would love to build, but what will they say? What will they do? What will happen when I have to deal with them? What will they bring into this? How will they knock it down? How will they stop it or prevent it or whatever? You're not on offense. You're on defense, possibly in all areas. Number 8. I already mentioned this one, so I'm just going to real quick. You feel a tug of war, or there's a battle. Even before you encounter them, you just get this sense of exhaustion, or like, I don't have the fight in me. I don't have the fight in me. You shouldn't. It's not supposed to be a fight. Relationships aren't supposed to be something you fix constantly. Number 7. When they talk to you, you can't hear them. All right. So, and I'm not talking about partners who use this as abuse, because a lot of partners do. They ignore you. They have selective hearing. They've weaponized incompetence. They're constantly pretending that they can't hear you. That's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about when you are literally conversing with this person, and when they open their mouth, it's like wah, 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 wah. It's like the teacher in Peanuts in the cartoon, or it's like some kind of weird static film, or like afterward. I've done this countless times, and I know the relationship or the friendship is over when, after I really thought I was engaging in a conversation, I'm like, what did they say? Like, what? It's almost like a blackout. It's like a time warp. You're like, what just happened? What just happened? You cannot hear them because they are lying, or you cannot hear them because you're not supposed to be talking to each other anymore. There is something so negative in the dynamic that you literally cannot process what they're saying to you anymore. Number 8, you're tactilely defensive. And again, we're just using romantic relationships as an example. You need to apply this to family or friends or acquaintances or coworkers or whoever, right? But when you're tactilely defensive, so when, and this isn't for those of you who are like neurodivergent, or you're level 3-4 empath, or, you're a psychic medium, or you just need a lot of personal space. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when this person approaches you. Thank you for the hearts on TikTok. I'm talking about when this person approaches you and you were like, don't touch me, don't come near me, or you get like grossed out, or like the thought of being with them like sexually makes you gag, or you feel a burning, or even like a weird like tingling, almost like electricity shooting like up and down your body. That's not normal. That's not healthy. Okay. And you shouldn't be trying to force yourself to work through that. And I understand too that, some of us have gone through physical abuse. And I think, probably every woman tuning in here said some type of sexual assault or rape or childhood molestation or da, 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 da. But even with that, this is different than that. You know the difference, okay, between being triggered and saying like, I need a little more personal space, not right now, versus no way. I do not want this person near me. And it really starts to show up like on the couch or in the house or in the vehicle. You know, you're like, you're losing it. You're agitated. You're melting down emotionally. You're having to go numb and like detach or disengage just to get through it. It's not normal. I think I got through all of those. Those are just some of the signs. Okay, let's, I should probably pick up my pace here a little bit. I try to keep these at 1 hour, but I'm probably going to go over today. Let's talk about what to do. Okay, how can you make the change? If you know you've got 3 or more on this list that I just went through, how can you make the change? Number 1, this is especially if you have a family member who died and you're getting ready to negotiate with like greedy, you know, family members just sort of grubbing over what they can get, what they can take, and who they can screw over, you know, in the will or the estate. But this also really counts toward divorces, when the lawyers are getting paid and everyone wants to go into mediation, and let's spend months and months and months trying to negotiate and let's mediate. You know, everyone's getting paid and the only one losing is you. Okay, especially in those situations. But I would say in all relationships that you know need to end, stop negotiating. Just stop negotiating. Okay, we've done that. Been there, done that. I'm not going to review all the things that you're not going to do. I'm not going to sit here and review all the things that won't matter, even if they could happen now. It doesn't matter anymore. Okay. There was a time and a place for that. Stop negotiating. And especially, again, if this is like a family circumstance, after someone's passing, it's had to go the legal route. That's enough of a sign. It's over. Negotiation is done. Same thing with divorce. You're dealing with someone who's never negotiated. What makes you think now they're going to start negotiating? They will drain you. It is a dangerous time. Number 2, how do you do this? Off like a Band-Aid. That is often the only way that works when you're dealing directly with another human being, especially if they don't want the relationship to end, or they want to keep draining you. They want to, maybe they feel entitled to you, or like they have a sense of ownership, but they don't even maybe see you as a person. But you're like an object to own. You know, if they've been like this, the relationship has been this dark for a long time, you don't have an option to do boundary setting and like, let's give it 3 months and see if improvements are made. Nope, off like a Band-Aid. Okay, off like a Band-Aid. And often no contact if they start acting crazy. So it's just the best approach, typically. Number 3, confront your patterns. And what I mean by that is you may have a lot of relationships like this. Just because it's a problem in one area doesn't mean it's not a bit of a problem in all areas for you. Probably is, okay? Because usually stuff like this is karmic. And usually if we see something in one area of life, we see it in all areas. So just something to keep in mind. But I would say that you need to confront your patterns. You may want to do this with like a therapist, but you know, you need to at least get a journal and a pen, and you need to write down all the different ways you have tolerated this type of toxic relationship. All the way from your past to now. Know your patterns, because your patterns never lie, just like energy. And so typically, even if you do decide to move away from this relationship, you're going to fall back into it. If you're not educated on how it happened in the first place, you're not going to be smart enough to stay out when they try to pull you back in, or you're missing them, or you're feeling, you know, lonely, or an identity crisis. Whatever. Number 4, center yourself. Typically when people are in relationships that they shouldn't be in of any kind, it's because they tend to overreach. It's because they're constantly like getting out of their lane. They tend to like overgive, they center others. And, you know, this is a big conversation with women right now in the revolution, is like decentering men, for example. Okay. And what that means, deconstructing from the patriarchy and decentering men. Well, it's a massive undertaking, and it seeps into every area of your life if you're a girl who's trained up in that, you know. And so it's a lot of work to learn to center yourself. And that's just one example, you know, but certainly we do this with family. A lot of people do this with everyone. They don't center themselves. So learn how to do that, or you won't be successful in staying away and or getting right back into the same cycle with somebody else. Number 5. No, I think I lied. Let me see. What am I on here? Sorry, guys. My notes are a bit of a mess. Explore the negative karmic kickback where you do see it in your life. I'm not going to go over that again, what negative karmic kickback is, but essentially, you know, it can be used as motivation. I would write down every hit you've taken in your life, every area since dealing with this person or tolerating this, and use it as motivation to create change. I would definitely make your moves silently. Oof, this is a big deal. And this is, you know, not to scare anyone, but deadly for a lot of people. If you're leaving a negative, abusive relationship, you leave in the night. You leave when they're gone. You leave when it's safe for you to leave. You don't announce it. Too many people announce what they're thinking, what they're feeling, how they wish this other person could do more for them. You know, be smart, be strategic. I once had to leave an abusive psychopath, and it took me 4 months of strategizing to get out. 4 months, police escorted. You know, you have to play the part sometimes to get out without drama. And this goes for any type of relationship where it has already all been said. When you keep feeding it with conversation, you are telling the universe that you're not serious. And that is no time to be messing around. So make your moves silently. I ghost people all the time, literally all the time. Even people I've known for a long time. I'm done. You did something crooked. You're grown. You know what you did. You didn't care enough to make sure you didn't do it. I'm out. Now I don't owe you an explanation. Ghost. Okay? Have fun with it. I mean, let them wonder. Let it bother them. They didn't worry about you. You know, just leave. Just get out. Number 9, you have to have an exit plan. Okay. In a lot of these situations, especially if it involves a love partner, a marriage, family dynamics, depending on how embedded you are in this can also go for friendship circles. You know, a lot of times we're going to cut a friend off because they're, you know, a frenemy or something like this, but there are other people in the friendship circle that we're still going to engage with. You need to come up with a plan, because otherwise it is just like this big ball of yarn, you know, and you can't untangle it. You would love to make something beautiful out of this, but it's your emotions are in a knot. Your stomach is in a knot, you know, mentally. It just feels like I can't do this without everything falling apart. No. Strategize and write it down. What exactly is your plan with every other individual? What are you going to be saying? How do you know they're going to react? Think ahead. Okay, write it out. Maybe even talk to someone trusted about what your plans are on how to move forward with this. And plan for your weaknesses. Okay, again, so that kind of fits in with like know your patterns. plan for your weaknesses to be used as a trigger. Now, I've seen this from my own personal experience with toxic abusers. I have seen it with even, friends who just became one-sided, or I felt like they were just using me up and I was exhausted and done dealing with them. They never changed. They never stand on their own 2 feet, and they're not really abusive, but I've seen it with all kinds of people. Everybody has a tendency, when you pull away or you set a boundary, or you say goodbye, everyone has a tendency to try to pull you back in. And it may involve things like guilt, hitting your trigger points, again, hot spots. You have to be prepared for the things that may upset you and that they may use. All right, let's move on to category number 3. And then we're going to wrap this up with your questions. So we're going to talk next about personal habits and lifestyle choices. Often people aren't aware, again, and Google it to learn more. People aren't aware that our habits, because we're humans, are so strong. Again, anything we know, anything that's familiar, anything that's patterned, we will take that thing to the grave, all right, before we will open up to change. And change in regards to personal habits is fairly difficult. It is, or lifestyle choices, okay, just the way you've been living, that's a habit. And it can take 3 weeks or more for us to reset. And I will say that with some habits, it can be far longer than that. I've broken some habits and I will never go back because I still think of them regularly. I still want to do it regularly. When I dream, I'm doing it. Okay. And it's like an addiction. And if you have an addictive personality, this is going to be even harder for you. So this may be your toughest spot. Esmeralda agrees. Is this your tough spot, Mama? It is, she says, yes. But you're a queen. You handle it. No? Come on, you can come on up. Just don't claw me. You want to come on up, sit? You want to come sit? So, we have to take a habit and then we have to create a new habit. And again, there's a ton of research on this. Google it. But you need to be really prepared to not just get into that like 3-week new cycle and let your guard down. Okay. Give it, I would say, at least 6-7 months, maybe even longer, depending on what it is for you. Don't let yourself backpedal. All right. Have a game plan. So let's talk about how you know when a personal habit or lifestyle choice needs to go, when it's time. Number 1, you have visions of a better future you, a better future life. And it's this lifestyle choice of these habits that are keeping you from it. You may not have confidence that you can create that lifestyle. You may have confidence that you can create that lifestyle, okay? But you know that with this habit in the way, it's not going to happen, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, again, negative karmic kickback. I don't care if it's drinking, smoking, a porn addiction, video game playing, eating too many Chips Ahoy. If you spend too much time thinking about work when you shouldn't be, if you don't know how to relax, I don't care what it is, okay? I have to fix TikTok. If you have a lifestyle choice or a habit where you have refused to make the changes and let go, you're going to see negative karmic kickback. Again, what is negative karmic kickback? Every single area of your life has been negatively affected and you don't know why. Everything is deteriorating and you can't figure out what the cause is. Number 3, you have anxiousness. You're anxious. You, number 4, are irritable. Okay. And number 5, you have sleep disturbances, stress, dreaming, or some very specific nightmares, which I'll get into. But basically, if you've ever, I'd love to hear in the comments, gone through a period of time in your life where you had some bad habits and you weren't dealing with it, you weren't changing them, you had a lifestyle that wasn't working, you could become a real bitch. You know, you could become really irritable. You're biting off everyone's head. You're the slightest thing and you're lashing out at people and you're like, oh my God, like what's wrong with me? Like they didn't even do anything wrong. You know, you're trying to smooth it over all the time. You're like, why am I so bothered? Like what is going on with me? And a lot of people blame like hormones, you know, or a million other things. It's like, no, it's probably this. That doesn't help, you know, but when you're irritable, and you're anxious, you're nervous. Again, you've got the Chihuahua energy, like, you know, terrible foreboding. You're always waiting for the other shoe to fall. That's not normal. That shouldn't be there. Okay. Unless you literally have something chasing you, something, you know, coming in, an actual threat you're going to have to deal with. The sleep disturbances and the nightmares. Okay. The very specific nightmares that tend to come up when you have a bad habit or a lifestyle choice that you're not fixing, it often happens with a vehicle. So you're having a dream that like you're in a car, but the car won't move, or, you know, you're not behind the wheel, you're in the passenger side. That's not good. Or you're in the back seat, or the car is driving backward, or the car is driving into water, or it's getting pulled backward into water. Water dreams in general, where it's like stormy waters, dark ocean, mud, swamps, you know, things like this. Also, has anyone ever had that dream that you're going up, like you got off an exit on the thruway or something, you're going up, but it's almost like a roller coaster. It's so steep down, like you're sure the car not only won't make it up, but it's definitely like you're going to die going down, right? Like that's another one. I hate that one. I'll stop real fast. Whatever I'm eating, whatever I'm doing, whoever I need to cut off, I'm goodbye. Okay. I do not want to have that dream again. You don't need to tell me twice when it comes to heights and night terrors. All right. Let's move on to number 6. When you start to feel like you don't fit anymore, you don't fit in with your relationships, you don't really fit in even your home anymore. Your home doesn't feel like home. You know, you're thinking maybe it's time to move. You're not sure where that's coming from. You're not enjoying your hobbies and things anymore. Okay, so this is a sign you're just sort of feeling like you don't fit in your life anymore. My stomach is, I'm fasting again today. I'm past the 24-hour mark. Yeah. And I'm feeling it. So bear with me. So we also have a general like lack of fulfillment. Number 7, restlessness and a lack of fulfillment. That means that like anything you try to do to get some sense of like engagement, right? To be enticed, to sort of be electrified, to be invested in what you're looking at or what you're doing, you know, just anything that can catch your attention. You're just not feeling it. Okay. You're not feeling any of it. There's just a general lack of fulfillment. It's like a void. It's like a hole, and you just cannot consume enough of anything to fill that void up. All right. And this goes along with the next one. Nothing's fun anymore. And you have blocked chakras. Okay, this is a big one. So let's jump ahead a little bit. Blocked chakras, a dull aura, health issues, mental health issues. So as a Reiki master, and I'm doing a whole series on this. If you haven't watched, go onto my TikTok or my YouTube is the easiest way to see it. Okay, but I think I've got 1 chakra left. 2. I have I have two, I think. Anyways, I've gone through all the chakras, and this is something as a Reiki master that I've seen get out of control in 2025. I'm amazed at how many people are dealing with blocked chakras, and this blocks your ability to really connect with other people, your creativity, your wealth, your health. It blocks everything. Okay, so if you are noticing, or if your healer is telling you you've got blocked chakras, you're going to want to learn about how to unblock that. And again, laying on the Reiki table and being unwilling to make the changes in your personal life isn't going to fix it. It could be a temporary fix, 3 days, maybe even up to 3 weeks, but it's not going to fix it long term. Same thing with your aura. You know, if someone says you've got dark colors in your aura, gray spots in your aura, that's not a good sign. Your mental health is deteriorating. Okay, and you have health issues. Health issues often come from, and I can't prescribe or diagnose, but blocked chakras. Let's just take the throat, for example. You're not speaking your truth. Okay, you are going to have thyroid issues, sinus problems, probably migraines, allergic reactions, esophageal problems, lung problems, you know, anything essentially from the lungs to the top of the head could be affected. So let's talk about people ghosting you and being repelled by you. This one's hard to face. I think people notice it happening and scramble for any other answer. They try to come up with excuses to prevent them from having to do the heavy lifting and do the actual work that's going to be required to make the changes. No one wants to admit that they've been ghosted. No one wants to admit that they've been rejected. It is literally physically painful for a human being to admit it. However, it is an opportunity for you to grow. That's it. You can't hate growth and change. You can't. Okay. And people are repelled by you. People don't want to be around anymore when your vibe is low. It's a fact. Unless you're hanging out with the same type of people who are stuck in the same toxic bad habits, in which case I say you better ghost. You should run. Okay. Run to get free. If you are attracting more animals, or if you're attracting more attention from your pets. I know a lot of people who have like, and this isn't for everyone, you know, but I know a lot of people who have like a ton of pets. It's like a zoo. And I'm always like, let me talk to them for 5 minutes and see if the, you know, and it's like, oh my God, they are the most stuck individuals I've ever met in my life. They never change. They're always complaining. You meet them, you know, 5 years later, they're in the same old toxic cycles. If they move at all, they move like a snail. It's often 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You know, they're not serious. They're not serious about the change. They're not making it happen. Therefore, they attract a lot of animals, or they're always, noticing that like with the animals they have in the house, these animals are always attracted to them, like sitting on them, laying on them, almost obsessively so. And, you know, these people often like to say, oh, well, just animals love me. Animals are always finding me, and animals are just drawn. They have to be on me. No, they're there to heal you. They're trying to help you. So I call it the healing triad, right, in the universe. So we have angels at the top. Angels are the healing entities of the universe, often mistaken for aliens because of their long tubular figures. They're light beings. They are the healing entities. Then on Earth, we have empaths and we have animals. So both animals and empaths are here to give the healing to others, to help people get on the right track, to, when it comes to animals, even remove disease, remove the toxicity from a human being's body. Some animals will actually take it in and then excrete it, where others will unfortunately take it in and hold it and get the same identical illness or some type of cancerous condition or whatever, you know, because you're not taking care of yourself. And you think you're taking care of these animals, and you're just like draining them. Okay, you're just draining them every day. You're just draining everybody every day. So it's like, okay, Understand that you're not this beacon of light that's attracting all these animals as much as you desperately need their help. And you're not doing what you need to be doing. An animal will sit also, like I said, it will sit on whatever part of you. And you can break that down even just by your chakras, wherever they're sitting, to try to bring healing to that area. So how do you do it? How do you change a habit, a long-standing lifestyle, whatever it is that's not working for you here? Number one, ask why you have it in your life in the first place. Like, ask yourself, remember back, where did this come from? Why did I start doing this? How did this originate? And see if that's still in alignment with where you are. And maybe it is, because you're still toying with it, but is it in alignment with who you want to be and your future self and where you want to go? Know your roots. Know your roots. Number two, ask what you're getting out of it currently. And that's a real eye opener, okay? And sort of speaks for itself, but like, what is this doing for me? And you can, break that down into positive and negative. There's nuance here. It's okay to admit like you still like it to a degree. I'm sure you do, but like what else is it preventing, or how does it do damage? Or do you just have an urge to get rid of it? You don't need to over explain when you're ready to move on from anyone or anything. You don't need to. It's okay. If we were smart, we would make moves right then and there. Number three, ask what the future will be if you keep it. It's kind of self-explanatory. If you have a vision of your future life, your future self, okay, can this come? What would it look like if I brought this thing? What would it look like me then in the future if I was doing this still, participating in this? Number four, visualize your best future self and list in your life what matches that future self and what does not. Number five, accept that change and growth are positive things. Breaking the previous programming, deprogram from patterns of thought that trained you up to prevent change, that trained you up to be fearful. We're talking about patriarchy. We're talking about capitalism. We're talking about colonization. Okay. How were you trained up to believe that change is bad? Those are all cult systems. They're based on fear and everyone's willingness to participate and stay the same. Okay, so it's like blood is thicker than water, or if you don't go to church, you'll burn in hell. Okay, or if you don't center a man, you'll die with your cat. I hope I do. Okay, it's all of these types of things. So you need to remember every time you're ready to make a change and you have this, angel on one shoulder and this devil on the other. The angel is positivity and faith, and the devil is fear. You can make a decision from one of those two places, and whatever you choose from fear will eventually implode, and that is a guarantee. And that's the dichotomy that the modern world has put in your head. That's what you're fighting up against. And recognizing that is key to embracing change and growth and understanding those are positive things. Also, think of all the other times in your life you made a change, you did some growth, and all the great things that came from it. Now apply it to this area. Number 6, I think that with lifestyle changes and personal habits, even the bad ones, I don't always agree with going cold turkey. Often with humans, we have to. And with work, have an exit plan. But again, you're going to need to go cold turkey because they will often try to suck you back in with like promotions, or finally they come through, whatever. Be careful with those two. But with this one, I don't know about that. I really feel like if you were to choose to wean yourself off of whatever this is, it often works better for people. But you could do, either one. And you do need to prepare for a period of time as you transition where you're probably going to feel that you don't know yourself. You don't know who you are anymore. You don't know really what you want. You don't know what you're feeling. And that's okay. In this category, we can often feel as though we're reinventing, okay, on like a soul level even. And that's okay. That's good. That's great. That's exactly where you should be. And if you spend months or even a couple years feeling a little bit lost in that, that's the point. All right. So you can try new places. These are the remedies. Try new places, go new places, do solo traveling, travel, you know, maybe with friends, if that feels good for you. Allow yourself to do research on anything and everything that comes up that holds your attention. Thank you for the hearts on TikTok. That holds your attention for even a second. Okay, dive in, fall down rabbit holes, take dance class, take a pottery class, explore new random things. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I always wanted to do this. It could literally be anything. Okay. You know, I went this past summer because a friend offered it to me for free. And I had been thinking about doing it, but I wasn't like driven enough to go do it. So I knew I kind of didn't really want to, but we went to the sound bowl thing and I laid there and I got bit by bugs and it was cold and I had to pee and I didn't want to interrupt things. And there was a lot of, you know, stuff there that I couldn't make use of, but whatever, you know, and I felt like afterward, you know, I don't know that the sound did a ton for me, although it was interesting. But just being in the flow of something new, that brought in a lot of new energy, okay, and creativity. I don't care what it is, okay? You have to do new stuff. And come up with a plan so that every day you are working toward something new in your life. If you're trying to leave a bunch of bad old habits or you're trying to create a brand new lifestyle for yourself, you have to have a game plan about what you are going to work toward. Okay. So every day, do a little bit more toward that future lifestyle you're trying to create for yourself. I would say that this is probably also a good time to get a therapist. Or at least like regularly talk with people who are on like a healing journey of some kind or a spiritual journey, maybe you want to call it, right? But expect that your identity may be a little bit off for a while. And whatever you do, do not allow for stagnancy to set in. What's that biblical saying? Idle hands make, I don't know, criminals or something. It's like you can't, or idle hands, you know, idle time makes idle hands, whatever. It's not about working and being busy and never processing anything. It's about not allowing yourself to fall into stagnant patterns, especially in regards to like self-loathing or feelings of depression or heavy energy, or like when you're in that in-between space, you're not the new you. And you're certainly not the old you. That can be very unfortunate, okay? And the key is movement. And on closing, and I'm going to get into your questions now if there are any, walk all the time, walk every day. If you can walk in the morning and then walk again at night, that's a great idea. I call it motion meditation. And this is great for those of you who can't sit and meditate, you know, too. But walking is going to bring the inspiration. Walking is also going to bring the literal movement and fluidity that you need to manifest. Okay. And what is in motion stays in motion. So anytime you feel down and out, go for a walk. If you don't have one, get a treadmill. And that goes for all of these areas, work, relationships, or changing daily habits. Okay, I hope this was helpful for you guys. This was certainly a long one. Now, if you enjoyed this, you may want to go back onto my YouTube channel and post your questions right now if you have any. I am going to take them now. But if you feel like this hit home in some areas, you can go back and watch the church service we did, I don't know, a while back. You put it in the search bar, go into my YouTube channel at Ask Ivy the Medium, and put in how to let go. It's going to help you with letting go of, like, if you're in an estrangement situation, if you have lost loved ones, deceased loved ones, if you're dealing with other personal relationships you're struggling with. Okay, that was a big topic then. All right, so let's see. We have, okay, Love and Beloved said, thank you. This was very helpful. All right, wonderful. And I'm trying to see if we have any questions here. I don't see any. So I think if there were questions earlier, sorry guys, I'm not able to pull the feedback down. Okay, so I really can't see them. But again, this should publish in the next like 24 hours or so. And so you guys can always go back and rewatch on YouTube at Ask Ivy the Medium. If you need to book a reading or a healing with me, go to Ivy Rivera, psychicmedium.com. I do work internationally, simple self-booking system. So there's going to be something there for everyone. And I will see you guys back here tomorrow for the Unbound Sage at 9 p.m. Eastern, where I deliver whatever is the most important message for you to hear right now. See you then. Thanks.